Thank you very much, Cheryl, for that very humbling introduction. And good evening, everyone. I absolutely realize that I'm the only person between you and eating dinner, so I will keep this very brief. It's a great honor to be here, and I too would like to remind our students that this is not the real world, and not even real for me, who has traveled quite a lot. SOLA to me is as much of an urgent initiative in Afghanistan as it is a personal passion and story. I grew up in Afghanistan under the Taliban regime, and for the very first 6 years of my education, I had to sneak into somebody's living room to learn because education was banned for girls during that time. And to go to a public school for the very first time in 2002 was a big deal for me at age 11. There was a complete explosion in my head about the possibilities of learning and what it would mean for someone as young as me. Then I traveled at age 15 to the US to study through a high school exchange program, and realized how unfair the lives for Afghans and for people in the US were, and the comparison was just completely difficult to comprehend. What the initiative for Afghanistan through Corps is quite amazing. And what I would like to do is to put that into perspective, and especially in the context of Afghanistan. Today, as we speak, Afghanistan has one of the highest illiteracy rates in the world. Illiteracy rate for women is particularly high. It's still in 90% for many people. And if things don't change, the majority of women in Afghanistan will never have an opportunity to receive an education. The fact that I have graduated from college and have a bachelor's degree puts me into a shockingly low percentage of women in Afghanistan with a degree, 6% of women. And I went to a really great school. I went to Middlebury College in Vermont. Some of you may not know, but it's a great school in the US. And going through that school every day, not only did I feel extremely privileged to have access to that kind of education, but I felt guilty. I felt this extreme level of moral obligation. There were questions that I would ask every day. Why me? How did I get to be so lucky to deserve this education? What now? What next? What do I do with this education? And I grew up in a family that valued education not just for the self, but to use that to help other people. And every career choices that I would look into were driven by the needs in Afghanistan. Initially, I wanted to be a doctor. Then I wanted to become a lawyer as I got exposed to the problems in Afghanistan. And then I wanted to become an engineer, and all these choices I wanted to make, I drove my advisor in college, nuts. He was really, it was difficult for him to deal with me, and I couldn't make a decision. And finally, it hit me that for me to really live all of these dreams for Afghanistan was for me to become an educator. To help more young Afghan women receive quality education that I had the privilege of accessing, so that then they can go on to become the doctors and the lawyers and the engineers that Afghanistan desperately needs today. So SOLA is today the first, unfortunately, boarding school for girls in Afghanistan. What is so unique, when I started SOLA, I knew that it would be the oldest idea in the world to bring to Afghanistan, but I wanted it to accomplish something very unique for people in Afghanistan, and that is to address a social problem. We have ethnic tension in Afghanistan, and that's a really big problem. And at SOLA, when students join our school, they take a pledge to accept, respect, appreciate, and promote the different qualities that every single individual brings to our community. They also take the pledge to speak English at all times. There's a reason for that. as an institution, as a school, it allows us to remain true to our mission to treat everyone equally, and so we cannot choose the language of one ethnic group to be the language of the school. But we also recognize that accessing quality education is very rare today in Afghanistan, unfortunately. And for that, we need to expose our students to the language, the international language that will allow them to access education globally in institutions, so that then they can go on to learn and to bring that education back and the skills back to Afghanistan. So we stay involved throughout their education. Today, we are a very small school. I started the school when I was 18, when I was abroad. We had 4 students at the beginning in 2008. Today we have 35 students from 14 different provinces. And in the past 5 years, we have helped students from 20 provinces receiving, 36 students from 20 provinces receiving scholarships into 34 educational institutions in 5 countries, amounting to $6.3 million. And while what we do, and I realize in the context of Afghanistan, is very small, but it is initiatives like this that will be led by Afghans for Afghanistan that will begin to bring changes in Afghanistan. And having partners like Biocorp and Roshan and all these other companies who are trying to accomplish good things in Afghanistan is really important. I know in the news what you hear about Afghanistan is all negative. It's not very hopeful. But you really have to come to Afghanistan to experience the possibilities, the endless possibilities that exist in Afghanistan, and the hope for our future. It's the youngest country. It's a very young country. More than 70% of the population in Afghanistan is 25 or younger. And if you are an entrepreneur, Afghanistan is your dreamland. I really mean that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shabana, and thank you to all our speakers tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for coming and for supporting VIO's operations. Dinner will be served shortly, and later tonight we have prepared for you a very entertaining performance that we are sure you will enjoy. So please stay tuned for that and enjoy your dinner. Thank you.